This is my friend Don. He's been out here taking the bark off of this. I've got this saw that I want to test on the log. It's a good idea to always test a saw before you take it out in the woods, because you never know for sure how it's been treated in the past, or in fact if it's been well filed. So what's going on here is that Don's already taken most of the bark off of here, but not all of it yet. And the reason I want to take the bark off of this particular log is that you can see there's a lot of dirt on here. This was skidded through the woods. You know, it takes quite a while to sharpen one of these things up, and you want to make sure that that you don't have any dirt that can get into the teeth and dull them. So we can go ahead and finish taking the bark off of there, and then we'll give this thing a spin and see what happens. Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Go ahead. It looks like it's throwing some pretty good shavings, Don.
Oh, yeah, these are nice. Look like noodles.
You can tell an awful lot about how a saw is cutting by looking at the nature of the shavings. If they're long and they don't have whiskers on the sides, then your saw is cutting pretty well. I don't feel any catches in it, so I don't think there's any rakers that are particularly high. So let's...
Now these look really clean.
Yeah, let's put this saw off to the side here. And actually, when you're putting a saw down someplace, it's a good idea to put it down with the saw pointing into something like a log here. So I'll just set the saw that way. And now we can look at these shavings and make a critique of the shavings and see what they look like here. We've got a pretty good pile of pretty long shavings. We don't have very much in the way of small pieces, which means that the saw is generally running well. If you have sawdust coming out of there that's got a lot of this really small stuff, it means that the saw is somehow out of adjustment. Either the rakers are really short, or perhaps a cutter is, well, they're pulling shavings off the side of the curve. Now, looking at an individual shaving here, we can learn quite a bit, is whether or not they're clean on the sides or whether they have whiskers. Now, this particular shaving has a few whiskers on one side, none on the other, so that's a pretty good sign. If you have a little bit of whisker, it actually means that your raker is doing the work of taking all of the wood out that the cutters have severed. Now, if you end up with a shaving that looks like this, that has pretty substantial whiskers on one or both sides, it indicates that you have a little bit of a long raker, and that could be because you actually overfiled one of the cutter teeth. That will cause a situation like that. If you have shavings that are like this, that are nice and long, but they're very thin, that indicates that your rakers are probably a little bit too short. And to get good, effective saw operation, you need to have your rakers a little bit longer, so that you do end up pulling just a hint of whiskers on the side of your shaving. You tell a lot about a saw by the type of shavings that you get out of it.